Welcome to Okaloosa Today, local news and information. Connecting the communities of Football Beach, Destin, and Okaloosa County.
Welcome to Okaloosa Today on Cox, your monthly look at the city of Destin, Fort Walton Beach, and Okaloosa County. I'm Doug Rayner for the City of Destin, and today's program is going to be all about the City of Destin's vision for the future. That's the City of Destin segment that's coming up right now. And joining me is the City Manager, Greg Kisela, Community Development Director, Ken Gallander, to talk about an exciting project, the vision of Destin, and where we're going, the future planning, and how this city is going to look. And I'll just let you guys really dive into this project and maybe start with a little background, but this is important for a lot of reasons. It's a really big initiative, and Ken's department, Greg, and the council are really backing this to make this a really big deal here in town. So guys, thanks for being here. And
thank you, Doug.
Let's just start with a little background on this vision project, Ken.
Sure. What we were working on, and every community in the state of Florida has a comprehensive plan. And that's the basic guiding document for our city. It's comprehensive. It looks at land use, transportation, all those kind of things. And we were in an effort to update that comprehensive plan, which is what you want to do. And through that, we had some challenges with one component of that comprehensive plan, which was where's the city going in terms of its growth, development, et cetera, redevelopment. So what we decided to do is move forward with our comprehensive plan, but hold back on one that's component about land use and the development aspects of it. And how can we look at that and think about what is the city going to look like in 20 years comprehensively? And what you want to do is look at some of these strategic areas in our city. And we identified 4 of those areas. And those are our Harbor District, which is in our community redevelopment area, the harbor area. The other is our town center along the Main Street and Highway 98, that corridor. The other 2 is Holiday Isle, very distinct neighborhood, has certain features that are special, and then the Crystal Beach area. So what's unique about those is that they're all very unique, and they all have their own challenges and special aspects that you want to maintain, and you want to get that public input about what's that area going to look like in the future, but also comprehensively, how do they work together? And that's what we're trying to do. And
this plan deals with the code and regulations of how things are built or redeveloped and things of that nature, right, Greg?
Yeah, what this plan will do, what the plan does for us, it sets the intensity of the development, how many units per acre can be developed on a particular piece of property, the setbacks, the heights of buildings, all of those things are memorialized in our comprehensive plan as well as in our land development code. This initiative that we're talking about here, studying these 4 areas, is designed specifically to help translate the existing comprehensive plan and land development code into 3-dimensional, so people can actually visualize what it will look like if it's built or particular pieces of property are developed. And once we do that, do we need to make some modifications to it? Do we need to make some tweaks to it? A lot of people struggle with translating the words that's in a comprehensive plan and in our land development code into what it will actually look like. This is designed to help them translate it so that everybody understands exactly what Destin will look like as we move forward both in the development and redevelopment of our community.
And when you say everybody, that's kind of a key component of this. We're in the steps and processes of including our community in the discussion on how we might want to make this part of the comprehensive plan look.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is designed to be as transparent as we could make it. We want everybody's opinions. We want everybody's thoughts. We've hired a planning consultant that has those skills. They have hired a part of their team. They've got a facilitator that will come and assist them in doing that. So it is designed to get everybody's thoughts, everybody's ideas, so we can get it memorialized into a document that we can all live with and hopefully build consensus and say, all right, this is exactly what Destin will look like over the next 10 years, the next 20 years.
Let's talk about this consultant that we said we've hired, Canaan Associates. They're out of Orlando, Florida. We went through a bid process, and the council got to hear presentations and selected this company. Ken, your department, you're the point on this project, and your department is working closely with this group. We actually have a message from Canaan Associates, and they are going to tell us a little bit about themselves, a little bit about the project, and we'll take a look and hear from Eliza Giuliano.
Hi, my name is Eliza Giuliano. I'm the Director of Urbanism at Canaan Associates. Me and my team here are really excited to be working with the City of Destin staff, as well as you, the residents of the City of Destin, to envision the future of 4 key areas of the city. We're going to be looking at the Harbor area, Holiday Isle, Crystal Beach, and Town Center. And in considering these areas, we're going to be looking at 2 major buckets of ideas. How does the city look, and how does the city live? In terms of how the city looks, as designers, we're going to be considering how the landscape is designed, amounts of tree cover, architecture, and in general how buildings relate to each other, their sites, and other buildings within the neighborhood. And we're also going to be looking at the design of streets. Streets are a huge part of how you see your city on a daily basis, as well as how visitors encounter your city for the first time and every time thereafter. In terms of how the city lives, transportation again is going to be one of the key issues. How neighborhoods are designed and how buildings are designed impacts whether or not you have options in terms of how you travel, whether you have multiple ways to drive, or whether walking, biking, and taking public transportation is a reasonable alternative. During the month of May, we're going to be holding a series of public workshops, and we really hope to see you there. We've spent time out walking these sites, and we're going to share what we've learned with you, but we also really want to hear from you what you think are the key issues. What's working and where's there room for improvement? We hope to see you there.
We just heard from Canaan Associates, Elizabeth Giuliano. She is one of the point people on our project, the City of Destin's Envision Destin project. And as she explained, there is a lot of public involvement, and that's really where we're taking this discussion now, Ken and Greg, is to the public portion, the public participation, and why that's so important. Because as Ken mentioned earlier, we have 4 distinct planning areas. We have it's just night and day to some degree in how these areas operate. So let's talk about the process, about what we're going to be doing with this project.
Yeah, this is a fairly comprehensive but also very compressed schedule to get this done. We want this completed by the October-November time frame. So they're going to literally hit the ground running. They've already been to Destin. They spent 3 days before we even approved the contract. They wanted to understand what Destin looks like today. They walked up and down all around trying to get a feel for the pulse of Destin. So that starts. They're now, the next thing, they'll meet with the mayor and city council next week, individual sessions with them to understand from them what their expectations are. And then they're going to meet with the subgroups at each of these 4 very distinct areas, and in a workshop forum to get those property owners and stakeholders' interest and ideas about what they think these areas should look like. That's scheduled for the week of May 18th. We want everybody to participate. It's designed to be participative. They'll take everybody's ideas, and then they'll take that, they'll go back, they'll work that into visuals that everybody can see, and come back in sometime in the summer and say, all right, based on what we heard from you, this is what you want Destin to look like. And that's what they're intending to do.
And that's right, and comprehensive is a key word there. May is a big month for the City of Destin, especially for you, Ken, in working through this process, this first round. They have an approach, they have a process map that they've laid out of how they're going to, Canaan Associates, our consultant, will work with the organizations and the community and the different planning areas. But let's talk a little bit about the different areas themselves. These meetings will be facilitated by part of their team. Lynn Cherry out of Panama City actually will help us work through this. But let's talk about these meetings and what maybe our community can expect, and let's try to get them to come there.
Well, yeah, any successful planning effort, you have to include the public input. And so Greg is absolutely correct. It's just critically important that we get as many people to participate, even if you can come for a little bit, is that your reactions and your input based on those visual cues or those visual components that they have developed based on the current comprehensive plan really helps them take their professional expertise and show this is where the conceptuals or where the city's going in the future. And so each of these, and I believe we're having each of these at the community center.
That's right.
And so we're trying to keep it at a central location. Everybody knows about our community center, so we'll have the facility ready and I anticipate a very open discussion, very easily conducted, and there'll probably be some components of issues and how can we get this worked through, but I've been with the city for 16 years and we always succeed at getting through our processes and getting to that point. So Harbor District is the first, I believe.
I think we're going to do Crystal Beach first. Yeah,
Crystal Beach area is first, and as I said earlier, each one of these has its own distinct transportation issues. They have their own desires of what the built environment's going to look like. So all those components will fit into it, each one of these discussions, workshops.
And these workshops, I think, are good for a resident or a developer or a business owner in these areas to come in and give their input, just to listen. This talks about transportation, the streetscape, the buildings, and everything.
Yeah. Any land use and transportation are so intertwined nowadays. Everybody speaks of these walkable communities, but how do you design your developed world, the built environment, to make that conducive and getting around our city and having the right land uses to make it succeed?
We have actually, our GIS manager put together a really nice map that lays out our city and breaks out these areas. So even if someone's not quite sure where they are or how these lines fall out, they can take a look. To help people do that, we've actually branded this initiative, this campaign, as Envision Destin. And we have a look for that, we have a logo for that, and we're going to create a website, envisiondestin.com. It's will be up and running 1st of May, and we will add information there. People can get anything they really need to know about. That's really key in communicating this.
Which I think is a new initiative that the city has never utilized that tool to try and get more input, which I think is going to be a real key component to it.
You know, when you're dealing with vision and you're set out to what you want to be or what you want to look like over the next 10 or 20 years, it's really important that everybody gets involved. You know, you hear out in the community, people get frustrated about this or that. This is going to give them their opportunity, their opinions, their views. Destin has changed a lot over the last 25 or 30 years. This is an opportunity to say, all right, what do we want to be over the next 10 or 20? And the citizens' input, the stakeholders' input, the property owners, developers, everybody coming together in these very 4 distinct areas and saying, all right, this is the vision, and then that will get memorialized into our comprehensive plan as well as our land development code, and that will be the bundle of property rights these folks operate under. So if it's going to be a particular height or a setback or number of dwelling units or whatever that intensity, the look of the building, this is the opportunity to set that into those regulatory framework, which is going to be so important as we move forward. Those are the tools in the toolbox that we have to deal with day in and day out.
It sounds like this is probably one of the most important things the city will have done in quite a while, and even in the future. It handles redevelopment, new development, and just about everything in between.
Yeah, it's comprehensive, like we started with the discussion. It's part of our comprehensive plan. They all are intertwined, and that consensus building, I think, is just everybody's going to have their thoughts, but you work through it to get that consensus and move forward.
Yeah, and I think when you see the technology that Keenan and Associates can bring to the table, the 3-dimensional, and when they're making presentations, if you say, well, this building's 75 feet high, if you adjust it down to 60 feet, they can show that. Or if you increase it by another 10 or 15, or you reduce or increase the setbacks, that is what a big part of why we hired them to help translate, and that's the word I use, translate all that stuff that's in the land development code and comp plan into something that people can understand, because it can be very, very intimidating when you read that comp plan and that land development code, because there's some words in there that you think you understand them until you really see it, and you really do understand it. So this is everybody's opportunity to participate. And we update our comp plan about every 10 years. So we're now at that kind of tipping point for everybody to come to the table and say, all right, this is what we want Destin to look like. This is their opportunity.
And that's a great thing for our community and for our planning department. Ken, working with Kane and Associates, probably feels good to have these professionals help us muddle through what this comprehensive plan is. And we mentioned this before, but when this first round of meetings comes up, the May 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, they will get to see what our current comp plan looks like in a model and in a visual 3D. In
a visual representation.
Right.
Model. Taking those words and saying this is conceptually what that could be like. You know, nobody has a crystal ball, but it's their best effort. These people do this around the country, internationally, and have done these type of things. So there's specific expertise that's going to help us immensely.
Very good. And then after this round of workshops, during the round of workshops, every distinct area will get their input. They'll come back and say, based on your discussions, here's what you wanted would look like.
And then, as Greg said, memorialize that in the future. Hopefully we'll be done with this. The goal is the October, November time frame, and be ready for the next.
That's right. Very tight time frame. I know, Greg, you're working with the council on this initiative closely. They feel good about it. I think they know that this is very important for our city. Yeah,
I think they understand the importance of making sure that they, as policymakers, as leader of the community, set the vision for what the future is going to be. But they want that vision to be based on the input from the citizens, the property owners, the businesses who've chosen Destin to live, chosen Destin to operate their business, and so they want everybody's participation. It's a time commitment on everybody's part, but I think the reward from it will be tremendous, and that's what we're hoping for.
Good. And our job over the next few days, few weeks, is to make sure we reach out and touch all of these people. The show's a great way to do that, but we want to make sure everyone knows to come to these meetings and make sure you participate. Like you said, our council needs to hear that. Our planning consultant needs to hear that. Ken, Greg, we all need to understand that. Any last thoughts before we wrap up?
Just from my standpoint, I invite everybody to participate. We had these first sessions before the heavy tourist season. We know people get preoccupied during the summer season, so we wanted them to come the week of May 18th. They're coming, and they've committed that they'll come back in the summer and come back again in the fall. But we want everybody to participate. And there's meetings that if they can't make one of these workshops, they can go to some additional meetings we've got scheduled for folks, but we want everybody at the table.
Very good. And kind of the last part of this is if you need more information about this, go to the city's website, cityofdestin.com. Try out Envision Destin.com and our Facebook page, City of Destin Government. Great information there. We'll be updating that on a regular basis and look forward to working with our citizens, business owners, and our city council on this initiative. I want to thank you for watching the show, guys. Thank you for being here. Stay tuned for Jo Soria. She's at the new Fort Walton Beach Rec Center. She's coming up next.